You know what? I was just talking to Brett about that, and I said like 20 years, and he's like,
Yeah,
no.
maybe.
I guess you changed wives
I changed wives. Yeah, that's
and you have nearly grown kids. And last time we saw you, you had one baby, maybe.
yeah. That'll be right. Yeah, 20 years ago, that would make it then because because now my son is 21. Yeah.
Oh my
But
God.
he was one then. Yeah. So that's uh-huh.
Now he's 21,
Yeah, now he's 21.
20
Yeah.
more years.
Just started
That is
drinking. Just started
bonkers.
drinking with this old man.
That's fun.
But it is kind of neat to be able to talk to your kids like an adult, which and now I can with my son, but my daughter, she's 18, so she is an adult, but still not quite all the way there yet. It seems like it happens when you're sharing a alcoholic beverage.
Oh,
Somehow
okay.
magically that makes it like, hey, we're the same now, you know. And when you're out at a restaurant and they can have a glass of wine or beer or whatever.
So you didn't treat them like humans until then.
No, no, I didn't say that. Adult humans, though. Yeah,
Adult human, knowing humans. No,
yeah,
sorry. I did. I
yeah.
put words in your mouth. I apologize.
Everyone knows that food is cool. No secret. Eat that food with a bowl and spoon. Everyone knows that food is cool. No secret.
Lee Woulfe, thank you so
Mhm.
much for being. This is with Bowl and Spoon, the podcast. You saw.
My pleasure. My pleasure
Yeah,
to be here. So happy you asked.
I'm very excited to talk with you because I talk about you all the time. I don't know if you realize this or not. Maybe like I don't know what's the thing. What happens when people talk about you? You like have a buzzing in your ear or something.
Something like that. There's some old expression like that. Yeah,
Your ears
ears ringing or something, or is that just
ringing, or
tinnitus? I do have
like
tinnitus, so
is
maybe that was you
it,
talking
that's
about
my
me.
fault. I'm so sorry. Yeah, sorry, I'm giving you tinnitus talking about you for so long. But no, I mean, working at Wendy's
Uh-huh.
was my first like customer service job, my first food work job.
Mm-hmm.
And
Comes
that
up for me all the time too. The Wendy's stories. Yep.
and but I think I did work with Liam. Do you remember Liam?
Sure.
We sold candy door to door
Oh.
all around. Like we'd go out on like, some Saturdays, we'd drive up to Beverly Hills and like
Hmm.
schlep this bag of candy, right? Maybe it was boxes of candy and sell them door to door. It was really hilarious.
Oh, it's funny. That wasn't for any kind of like a good cause. It was just an employer
It was
who
the
had you doing that.
student work program. So it was
Oh,
for us
okay.
to make money. It was
Gotcha.
us to learn about stuff. And we won a trip to see Culture Club, and X opened for them.
Nice.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
really
wow.
cool.
Well, that's cool.
So that was cool. But then my second food job, I guess, but this is my proper food job, was at Wendy's. And now let me see if what I remember about what I think the story of you, how you came to be at Wendy's, is you were in the armed forces and you were a cook.
That's right. Yep, you
And
got it
so
on the
then
Air
when you
Force.
got out of that, you came to Southern California, thought you'd do your thing, the TV, radio kind of thing. You were kind of looking to do some of that, I thought,
Well,
but you
sort of
ended
not
up at
exactly.
Wendy's
I
to
actually
make
got
money.
out of the Air Force in California. My
Oh,
last
okay.
place I was based was up in the Mojave Desert. Yeah. So then I got out and was looking for work. And yeah, some kind of restaurant management was the easiest thing to segue into after having been a cook in the Air Force.
Perfect. You became a manager at Wendy's, and I started there. I guess, I don't know if you were there when I started, if you came in afterwards, but we overlapped to a certain extent. And yeah, it was really a lot of fun. You made it a lot of fun
Hmm.
to work at Wendy's. And, that was the first time that I've been part of a team that is like really cohesive.
Yeah.
And I've had that a few times through my career, but I always like reflect back on like we got shit done and we had fun and we had each other's backs and we filled in where there were gaps because we just knew what. And I know it's it's just
That's true.
but it was phenomenal teamwork, and I carry that with me today.
That's a great point. I never reflected on that as much, but you're right. It was fun and it was a really good team. And you're right. And because remember, they were always timing us. Like there was a certain amount of time that a car could be in the drive-through, and they'd be sitting outside with a timer. And they said, well, you were 15 seconds per car, and that's a little much. And we're like, but we were young kids and we were all gung-ho and on board. We're like, okay, come on. And especially when they knew, when we knew they were timing us, we would we've been working our butts off, getting the
Yeah.
cars through.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
fun.
the mayonnaise, ketchup, pickle, onion, tomato, lettus, mustard. I mean, that
I thought we probably were going to talk about that today. Yeah, the mayonnaise,
never
ketchup, pickle,
goes
onions, mayonnaise,
away.
mustard. Yeah, yeah.
And
Which are do your listeners know what we're talking about? Mayonnaise, ketchup, pickle,
oh,
onion, tomato,
probably
lettuce,
not.
mustard.
Probably not. Would you like
Do you
to
want to?
explain?
Do you want to? Yeah,
He's
I'll
the
explain. Yeah, and so
manager, so go ahead.
that is the official condiments and the order in which those condiments go onto a Wendy's single cheese. With or without cheese, I should say. Yeah, and to this day,
Single
I know
cheese,
you and I.
double
And,
cheese,
yeah, or double cheese, triple cheese.
single,
Yeah,
double, triple, all of them. That's the
yeah. To
order
this
of
day, that's the way I
progress
do
of
it.
Wendy's.
That's the way I do my burgers. That's the best way.
Chicken sandwich, same. Mustard goes under the chicken patty.
There you go. Exactly right. Yeah,
I can't believe I
and
remember that.
I believe on social media that Liam had weighed in too and said that he still does his hamburgers or cheeseburgers that same way with that same condiment in that exact same order. Because according to my manager training, that's the way that the focus groups decided that was the very best way. They chose those condiments and in that order.
I believe you told us the whole scientific
I'm sure I did
about that.
That's right. That's why we were gung ho.
With the mayonnaise and the ketchup sort of blend, and then they make a nice base for the pickles to go on there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you sold me on it entirely.
Yeah. The mayonnaise actually seals the bun. That was what I was taught in manager school. Right. That seals it. Then the ketchup doesn't soak in. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then that lettuce goes on top, and then that way the lettuce holds all those condiments together when you place it on top of the mustarded patty. I'm getting hungry for a burger right now.
Me too. We're totally going to Wendy's next time I see you. But also, I learned customer service there, and customer service today is just not so much. It's really disappointing.
Yeah,
and
it's good though when you do get good customer service, it stands out as being really exceptional. And to be honest, the other day I was driving through the McDonald's drive-through for a breakfast. And the customer service was outstanding. And the lady thanked me like 5 times because I rounded up 11 cents to the Ronald McDonald House. And she was so over the top that, thank you so much for that donation. I'm thinking there's 11 cents, but okay, I'm happy to do it. And the young kid that was handing me my food, he was just gung ho, considering it was like, 7 in the morning. And I was like, wow. And I wanted to write him a letter or something, but, we didn't. I never did get around to it.
Let me get a little more of the history. So you were in the Air Force and you were a cook.
Yeah.
Is that something that you always wanted to do, or was that just something you fell into?
No. So I wanted to do what I ended up doing the rest of my life, which was work in, TV, video type stuff. And unfortunately, when you're signing up for the armed forces as a young kid, there's always a recruiter involved. And sometimes I would say they lie, but sometimes you can be slightly misled. And officially they told the truth. But it wasn't quite as easy to get into the video, and it was, I guess, whatever the radio and TV portion of the Air Force as I may have been led to believe, but still no regrets. I still am happy that I was in the Air Force. And the Air Force has a great food program. Actually, they compete amongst all the bases compete against each other for a thing they call the Hennessy Cup, and it looks like, well, it's not a cup full of Henny, as it were, but it's like a big silver cup, almost like a Stanley Cup, and so all the bases compete for that. And so the base I happened to be at had won it two of the years that I was there, so they really take it seriously. And
no pressure though.
What's that?
No pressure for you.
No pressure. No, it's always funny because you can tell when the judges are there to check, because suddenly, instead of serving mac and cheese with hamburgers ground up in it, you're serving actual steak and lobster to the guys coming through the line.
That.
Well, and so think of it this way: they're given a budget. And so the budget, they may spend
beans and rice the rest of the month.
Right, beans and rice the rest of the time. But on the days the judges are there, they're eating great. And I was a baker for quite a while on there, so I'd be in there overnight. And so suddenly we're making these cakes, and everything is just really, really extravagant. Because we won, then they got to select one person to go to Cornell University, to the School of Hotel Restaurant Management there, and I was that guy. So I lucked out then. So I got to go to Cornell, and they taught us all kinds of great food stuff there, with hopes we would take it back and share it with the other troops there who worked in the kitchen. So it's a great food program.
How long was that?
And that was only 1 week. Yeah, just whatever they could cram in 1 week. Yeah, they had Air Force guys and Navy guys there too. Navy apparently has a really good food program as well, so they taught us all a thing or two there. Yeah, so it was fun. And then I got out of the Air Force and ended up at Wendy's in beautiful Huntington Beach, California, and we met.
Yeah, and we had a really good team, and it was a lot of fun. You grew up with the gentlemen that make up the Dead Milkmen.
Yeah.
And they came to town, and you're like, hey, my friends are coming to town. And they had this band called the Dead Milkmen, and we used to use the microphone where you'd call the orders back to put down to a little radio, a tape player. I think you brought a tape player in with their music, and you played it through the restaurant, and that's how we were introduced to the Dead Milkmen.
I didn't recall that part. Yeah, I mean, I know I certainly remember them. I don't remember bringing the tape player in or anything, but certainly I recall them coming. And they would stay with me and sleep on the floor of my apartment and things like that. And then I remember them coming around and meet a lot of the folks there at Wendy's. And and I know you guys came to a number of the shows. Like every time they came through.
Oh yeah.
Southern California.
Sure we were there.
Yeah.
And they came to visit. They came to, like, do you remember going to Tracy and Terry's house?
Okay.
Over on Kyle Street. And then that one time that Amy Silverman was like, hey, let's go to Mexico. And I was like, yeah, Dean, Rodney, let's go to Mexico. And they were like, okay. So we freaking got in the car and drove to Mexico.
Wow.
Had a shot and a beer and a taco and drove back. We were gone until
that's interesting.
3.5 hours. Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay. That's fun. My gosh.
That was really wild. Yeah. Anyway, it took Dean and Rodney many years of me trying to Facebook friend them before they accepted, because maybe they thought I was a stalker or something. I don't know. But anyway, those were fun times. We had a really good time.
Oh, very fun. Absolutely.
Yep. So you worked at Wendy's, and then you decided that you were going to go on the road with the Dead Milkmen.
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed like a great choice. I had been back here on the East Coast for a friend's wedding. And then Dean, the drummer from the Dead Milkmen, and Dave, the manager of the Dead Milkmen, were at the same wedding. And at that point, they said, hey, would you want to be a roadie for us? And, and I'm thinking, man, that sounds like a blast. I said, but you know what? It was about a 3 or 4 month tour they were going out on. I said, I don't know if my job at Wendy's would let me just leave for 3 or 4 months and then come back. And I knew everybody in the band since they had stayed in my apartment. So everybody, we all had a great rapport. And so then I was flying back to California after this wedding was over. And I was sitting on that plane flight for 5 hours thinking, wait a minute, I'm a Wendy's manager. Why don't I just quit my job and go on the road with it? I don't need to come back to this job. It's okay. And I've been there for like 2 years or something. Like, it's okay to quit being a Wendy's manager. But, I landed, and we didn't have cell phones back then. I landed, got on the phone, called back here to the manager and said, hey, I'm gonna do that. I'll go. And they were leaving in about a month. I gave 30 days notice at my apartment, and I gave 30 days notice to Wendy's, and loaded my stuff in a U-Haul and drove back to the East Coast. Said, hi, Mom, I'm putting all this stuff in your basement now. and I did. And a couple of days later, left on tour with the Milkman.
Well, you forgot about the big party we threw you.
You're right. You did throw a great going away party. I think it was called Dress Like Lee Woulfe Party. And you guys all wore olive drab military stuff, and y'all tucked your pants, kind of bloused them in your boots.
Yep. And it was a jungle theme. Because you would always wear that camouflage jumpsuit, which was awesome. And that's what you had on it. I have pictures from this. It's really fun. But also because the Dead Milkmen had a song called Beach Party Vietnam.
Right.
We just thought it was hilarious. And now, hindsight, thinking that was really, really tasteless to, have a theme party around that. But we didn't have any. It was just a jungle theme.
All good.
And we had a really, really great time. That was a really great party. It was super fun.
Thanks for throwing that.
We had the cake.
You had a cake you made
with the Eat Your Paisley cover on it. Like, that person at the cake shop was amazing to do that. It was before you could just have it like scanned and
right.
It was phenomenal. You remember that? It was so good.
I remember you throwing a great party. I remember there's a picture of you with the cake. Yeah.
Oh, that was so much fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Very good.
that's kind of where we lost track a
Yeah,
little. I
exactly.
remember I did come to visit you in Philadelphia when I was on
Yep.
my way up to Maine to visit my uncle.
hmm
I think did I take the train up there? I can't remember how I did that, but you,
And you had relatives in like Pittston, PA, or something, right?
yes,
Where they
yes.
make Yingling, right? The home of Yingling breweries. Is that
Oh,
correct?
I don't know if
Do I
that's
have that right?
I have no idea about
Oh,
the.
okay, all right.
It was a coal
Anyway,
mining
do,
town,
do I have the
and it
town
was
right? Do I have the town name
Pittston.
right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Absolutely. Sorry. I forgot about that. Yeah, you came down there or up there,
Yeah.
whatever. I remember you introduced me to somebody. I've had the beer since, but it was a nut brown ale.
Yeah.
And at the time I was just like, oh no. But you influenced my palate around beer.
Oh, great. That's
Because
good.
now I like that kind of beer. Plus, I married a Brit,
Right.
so there's the whole bitters and
Oh, yeah.
all of that regular beer in it.
Yeah. Beer was and back then there wasn't that much beer to choose from. You
No.
know, the whole micro brewing fad hadn't started, and all that stuff didn't start till like, I don't know, like the early 90s, all that.
Yeah,
Like,
this is still the 80s we're talking about.
yeah, right. Yeah, so finding a delicious beer was rare, because
Yeah.
it was still mostly Budweiser and things like. Nothing wrong with Budweiser. I don't want
Yeah.
to offend, and
Corona.
in case they're a sponsor of the podcast, I don't want to offend them in case Anheuser-Busch, if you're looking for underwriting, right?
Um,
But speaking of your
yeah.
British husband, then do you guys have a lot of different beers in the house? I mean, is that what are you drinking these days?
You know what? He's not drinking beer so much. He's more a Scotch guy.
Oh.
And he can sip instead of, like, when you're drinking beer one night and then you drink wine another night and then you drink it as fast as you drank beer and you're like, whoa, that's
Yeah, I do know
I
that.
have.
That's one of my problems is, yeah. So then if I do have a stronger drink, I just keep, as a friend of mine has said, either my drink is usually full or it's empty, because it's just
Yes.
maybe by force of habit in between each time I'm making conversation, I just keep drinking it, but
Yeah.
then it goes away too
Yeah.
quickly.
But well, Brett's really good at nursing a drink.
Oh,
So
good for him.
the whiskey will last a lot longer than my beer will last. So
Good for him. Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, so I mean, I kind of want to go like along the timeline here, but I
Okay,
don't
sure.
necessarily want to. I want to know, like, you now have this amazing Woulfe Lodge,
Yeah.
your new house.
Uh-huh.
Is it in the country? What's the deal with that?
Yeah, it's in a little town called Green Lane, out in the middle of nowhere. And so my uncle actually built the house. It's it's a log home, and way back in 1990, my uncle built the place. And so it just sort of turned out about 4 years ago that it does take a lot of upkeep. When you think about every square inch of the outside is covered in some sort of wood.
Mhm.
So not to mention the decks and all that. And then there's the whole inside, which is also covered in wood. So, and the ceiling is covered in wood. So there's lots and lots of wood everywhere that needs to be maintained and cleaned and all that kind of stuff. And I think after a lifetime of doing that, he was ready to not be doing that with his free time. And plus, you start to lose, your hips go bad, need to be replaced and things like that. So he was ready to sell, then I was ready to buy. And I said, hey, I'll buy your house if I can afford it. And I could. And next thing you know, I was here. So it worked out really well.
Was it meant to be a summer home or was it a full-time
No,
home?
it's meant to be a full year-round dwelling. Yeah, I mean it has that look of a vacation home, but no, it's a regular house. Yeah,
Cool. And do you have a lot of land?
it's about 2 acres, so
Jeez.
it's a fair amount to mow, but it's worth it. Yeah, they had a big garden, but we couldn't keep it going, and there's deer and there's weeds, and we weren't that good at
hard work.
the garden. We tried, and I'm sure we'll try again sometime, but not currently. So now the kids are in college, and so life is about working. Life isn't too interesting. Nothing too out of the ordinary like everybody else's life. Since this show's about food, I mean, we love making food. My wife and I, she's a great cook.
You've been together over 10 years?
Yeah, over 10 years, something like that. Yeah.
Cool,
And then
cool.
yeah, so we've been living here then about 4. Yeah. So that's
good.
the story of the life.
Stuff. We've kept up a little bit on Facebook from that.
Mm-hmm.
When you came back from California and you moved to Philly
Yeah.
after the tour, what did you do then?
So then I got a job being a record delivery guy.
Okay, so you
So
didn't go back into the food biz.
no, because I was
Okay.
still trying to. By then, now I had done that radio school out in California. I was trying to do whatever I could, and then a friend of mine said, "Hey, look, here's this record delivery biz." Okay, well, try that, and did that for a while. I delivered records. So it's kind of funny because you can go to the oddest, most out of the way little mall in the middle of Pennsylvania, for lack of an appropriate word,
Mm.
and I'm like, "Oh, I delivered records here." Or you can go to some crazy part of Jersey, the middle of Jersey, and I'll be like, "Oh, I delivered records here." So I delivered records all over the place, and they were basically what's called cutout records. So and this is what this was back in the day when there were records and tapes. If it wasn't selling, the label had the right to what they call cut it out. And so you would take a whole box of records, which had like 10 records in a box, and you would actually take a bandsaw and cut the top of the album cover. You wouldn't cut the record because the record was round. And so then they would do that for all these boxes of records. And then by doing so, that now they didn't have to pay the artist as much for some reason or another. But then they could sell them at a discounted price. And so they would sort of recoup some of that loss. And so that this company that I worked for was in the cutout record and tape business. So that we would take these cutout records and tapes, put them on little racks and things in a music store or anywhere they wanted them, or like a bargain store. And so then there's all kinds of these records and tapes that people could look through and choose things. And they were only like $1.50 or $2-3. During that time, I found my first job in TV at a local public access, local origination television station. So that's how I then broke into what was actually going to be my career, which was TV and video.
Yeah, and for someone in the TV and video industry, there are very few things that pop up when you are Googled. But there
me?
are some things that pop up, Leewell.
Yeah, you want to share what you found on me?
Your unused LinkedIn profile, which is pretty
Yeah, I don't know when the last time I was there.
Yeah.
Well, you see, the thing is about LinkedIn. Once you have a job, I don't know. I don't find LinkedIn being that useful, since I have a job that I'm planning on staying in. And I realize there are people who might say, no, LinkedIn is about more than just finding a job. It's about staying connected with blah, blah, blah.
A lot of people use it like Facebook, but
yes. I noticed that. Yeah.
I'm looking for jobs, so it's
now you're on there more. Yeah. Yeah. I had been on there. Well, you can probably tell me better than I can when the last time I was on there. Probably 6 or 8 months ago.
I can't remember what it said. But then there was a documentary about the World's Fair in New York.
Yes, I did do the voiceover on that. Yeah, you know who else worked on that project? That was Jean Favreau worked on that. Yeah, so
well, I saw there were a lot of famous directors on there, and I'm not sure if you got to meet any of them or if you were part of the crew that worked with them. But
no. In fact, I just like telling my kids, "Oh, I worked on a project with Jean Favreau," because he appeared in that World's Fair documentary, and I did the voiceover, but. No, we never met or anything, but it's just a great way to impress the kids when they watch Elf and they see that Jon Favreau directed that, and lots of other stuff.
And then there was another one that I did not think I was going to be able to find, but I did.
Oh, yeah?
It's a 16-minute short film that you did in 2012. You played a director. Say hello to my static friend.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. I still work with those guys.
Scar tape.
Yeah, right. Scar tape. Yep. Yeah, I still work with the guys who made that.
They work at
Merck. Yeah, in our creative studios. Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. You guys have the Woulfe Lodge. It looks like you have some pretty nice parties and events and fun stuff. What do you guys do?
Yeah. Well, during COVID, I built a bar. So that was kind of a cool thing to do, because everybody started working from home, and there wasn't as much work to do when you were working from home. So we ended up with a lot of free time. So we fortunate enough to have a deck, but then there's another deck underneath it, a lower deck, and the lower deck had like nothing there. So I'm like, this would be a great place to have a bar. So built a little kind of tiki bar theme. And so because we do frequently like having people over and imbibing. Yeah. So we're entertaining. Entertaining is a big thing. We're lucky that my wife and I both like doing that. And we're fortunate enough to have a little bit of a hill that goes from the front yard to the backyard. So this whole summer and many summers, we get a big 100-foot long hunk of plastic and make a big ass long slip and slide.
Oh my God, that's amazing. That's so cool.
Yeah, so we just I think we had it last weekend, and maybe 2 weeks before that we had it again, and I think we've had it 3 times so far this summer. Yeah, a lot.
That's really
You put a
cool.
lot of baby oil on it, and then you put a lot of baby shampoo on it too, and I don't know, it just and of course a bunch of water, and it just goes like crazy. It goes crazy fast down. So he's really successful when you slid the entire 100 foot. I mean, that's what it's always about. It's always about beating your personal best. So it's
Yeah.
like, but so when you really, really get all the way down the 100 feet, it's like, wow, that was a good run. My son and I have found that the best form, as it were, is something we should try to copyright this, but we call it the turtle back. And so basically you start sliding, but then you roll yourself up so that it's only the skin of your back on the slipping side, because if you have your swimsuit or whatever, or your legs, and that's all friction. My son, by the way, I guess you'd say he's a physicist. He's studying to be a physics teacher. So
Nice.
it's like a lesson in physics doing slip and slide with him. And he's like, yeah, well, and because we're talking about, it's like, yeah, your mass equals, or your velocity equals mass times energy, or I don't know the actual formulas, but it's kind of funny because he's putting it all into these physics formulas, and so by having less resistance to the less friction, you go zooming on down the hill. So that's awesome. And then the beauty of the hill is, of course, then in the wintertime we can go sledding on it too. So we can go
all season hill.
Yeah. So it can be great for sledding with your with your kids, or it could be drunk sledding with your adult friends too, because we don't have to drive anywhere to get to the hill. The hill's right here in our yard, so there's no danger. Well, I should say there's no danger. There's a little bit of danger.
There's gotta be
there are some trees. Yeah, there are, but it's not too bad. There's one path that gets well worn. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and then you may have seen we have a zip line.
The what?
Because you were asking about what else we do here. We have a zip line too. We put a zip line up.
Oh my God, I was gonna ask about a zip line because I love zip lines. We did a zip line when we were in Ecuador. So what sort of things have you been, I mean, besides raising kids, what have you been up to the past 20 some years?
That's mostly it,
It does take a lot of time, I guess.
Yeah. So my daughter was in marching band at high school and is going to be in marching band at her college. So when your kid's in the band, there's always something to do. For example, we're selling treats at the concession stand because there's always a way that the band is making money. So there's that. For my son, I was a Boy Scout leader. He was in the Boy Scouts, and I had been a Boy Scout, so I decided it was appropriate for me to be a Boy Scout leader. So I was doing that, and camping and stuff like that. So that was always fun. Not a lot of time. There's always something going on. And then when I moved to this house, it's like always something to do.
You mean like chore wise or
like chore wise? Yeah. And I'm a guy who likes building stuff and doing do-it-yourselfy type stuff. As I was mentioning, I built the bar, and so do home improvement. So I always have some little job going on.
Do you still cook? Do you still do culinary stuff? What do you do there?
Oh, actually, it was just earlier this week. I think it might have been Monday night. I did it's called Bang Bang Shrimp Tacos.
Ooh.
So it was it had a little bit of a curry paste, but a curry creamy paste. The shrimp are little tiny shrimp are deep fried. Then this little curry paste and a sriracha on it, and then a nice lime with sour creamy on top to kind of cut some of that heat. And that was in a soft taco, a little bit of lettuce and a little bit of cabbage in there to crunch it with a seafood taco. So I did that. I don't do the bulk of the cooking. I do the bulk of the lawn mowing and stuff. So my wife does the bulk of the cooking, and she's really good at it too. In fact, we call her the gravy queen because she can make a gravy or a sauce out of anything. Her degree is from Penn State in clinical nutrition. So she's knows her way around the kitchen as well, which is great. So
nutrition. I think you married a nutritionist.
Yeah.
Your first wife was a brain surgeon?
Not quite, but she was a scientist, but she was molecular scientist, is that right? Molecular biology is the kind of science.
I remember she was a social person and most of her colleagues were not. So that was what separated her from the pack there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And then made events that you had to go to for her work very challenging.
Very interesting. Yes, for sure. Yes.
So now you married a nutritionist, and that's interesting. That's a whole thing. So what is your normal like eating? What are you vegan, vegetarian,
No, nothing.
pescatarian? I guess you're
No,
not.
we eat meat and stuff like that. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not bragging about it. But
Go
no,
ahead, brag.
no. It's kind of funny because I mean we do enjoy steak and that kind of thing. I do understand when I hear people say, "Listen, the earth is not going to be able to support everybody eating meat every meal.
Yeah.
It's just going to come a time when that's just not going to work." I was like, I see the point, and so we do try to go meatless a little bit more, and it's not hard. I mean, it's just something that you just have to get used to. Here's something that helped us get used to doing more meatless. We bought one of those outdoor uni pizza ovens.
Oh my God, Brett wants one of those so
He
bad.
should, although they're not cheap. It's like the simplest
They're
little
not cheap.
He could
And now I'm
just
unemployed,
build one.
so that would be very irresponsible of me.
It's not
Hey,
high
maybe I could get
technology.
Uni to sponsor my podcast.
You should. Yeah. Well, I'm saying it's a great.
Right,
They make
there
a
we
great
go.
pizza oven.
They're on my list.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uni pizza.
Yeah. In fact, we're having that. We're having friends over tonight, and we're doing uni pizzas. Yeah. But yeah,
Cool.
it's because you make the dough and it rises with the yeast and all that kind of stuff. And then we got a rather small one. So you only do it's only almost like a personal size, like a 12-inch size or something like that. One of the other Merck offices, they had a pizza oven type thing. So they would make you a small personal pizza to order, and it had that wood smell. It certainly wasn't a genuine wood fired because it was industrial. It was making lots and lots of pizzas, but that wood smell came across. And then I'm a big fan of the white pizza, so I would sit down with it, and it had that garlicky smell and that wood smell. And I'm like, man, honey, we got to get one of these outdoor pizza ovens. And so I had originally been thinking about the wood-fired version because it just had that charmingness about it. And, I live in a log home, and I'm thinking, oh, yeah, wood pizza oven would be the way to go. And there's plenty of wood in my backyard. So I'm thinking there's an endless supply of fuel. But then I thought, wait a minute. It's so hard to build a fire just in the regular fireplace, much less try to get this going in a little tiny place. It's going to take an hour or more to get it hot to cook your pizza. I'm like, how often am I going to use that? I got to build a fire from scratch every time. It's like, screw that. Just go for the fuel.
So wait, you don't have the uni that you use the pellets?
No, I didn't get that either because that still didn't seem like the right way to go.
Gas powered.
Oh, the gas powered. Yeah, the pellet one, you got to really look into it because it's either pellets or propane. Like, not really both.
Yeah, no. That's fine with us. We borrowed one from our neighbors, and then we used their pellets, and then we had to replace their pellets, and we bought a whole bag of pellets thinking we're going to buy ourselves one of them. So now we have a bag of freaking pellets.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you get that wood taste from that.
Yeah.
It's really nice. Yeah.
How long did it take for the pellet fire to get going?
Not long at all.
Oh, that's good.
Freaking hot.
Yeah. Like they say between 700 and 900. Yeah. We just had my son and his friends over last weekend. And so the nice thing is that way you can make whatever flavor they want because there's always one kid who I just want mine plain, and always somebody else wants a different flavor, or sausage or something like that on it. So yeah, and as I said, I like it. I like the white one with the garlic and just the garlic and the basil and all that. And so yeah, it's great. You can make all different kinds.
That's
delicious. Cool. Love it.
Yeah. I do love that, and we'll have to reconsider that. And maybe I'll get them to sponsor this. That would be kind of amazing. Yeah. But so you participate with the Boy Scouts, and your son, and I guess now he's
I did. Now he's too old for that.
Anymore,
yeah, they age out. But yeah, as soon as he was able to, they called Tiger Cubs. I went, and of course they said who'll help out, and I raised my hand, and next thing you know, let's see. So that was right at like first grade, I guess, and that was all. Then
that's so much fun.
Just like it was great, a great time. Yeah, they have a great program.
So you guys went camping.
A lot of and that doesn't happen until they're more like in Boy Scouts, because we started with Cub Scouts and all that, and they do the Pinewood Derby thing, and those little race cars, and that's great. And they do rockets. So I started as the den leader, and the next thing you know, then I became the leader of the pack of dens, the Cub Master they call it. And then when we went into Boy Scouts, I just kind of volunteered as an assistant Scoutmaster because they had a great program there. But at that point, then you're going camping and things. It is a really great program for learning kids to appreciate the outdoors and do some of that stuff. And as I heard either a scout or a leader say, Boy Scouts makes boys comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's like, oh, that's an interesting way to put it, because you're out in the cold, you're getting rained on, you're hurrying, you're waking up early in the morning, you're hurrying for this and that, you're packing, you're remembering, you're forgetting stuff, and you're wishing you didn't forget it, you're remembering it the next time for sure. And then they take turns being the leader, and so they're leading other boys, and so I have lots of good things to say about it. It's a great program, and I'm glad I volunteered. But I was happy then when my son was done, and I was like, I'm done too. Yeah, so I think I'm good.
Well, I think this is the second time this week that the Boy Scouts have gotten a shout out from people that I'm interviewing. Were you in charge of the food on Boy Scout trips, camping?
I don't think I was, even though I've done my share a little bit of. Well, in the Boy Scouts, they start then trying to get the boys to cook their own stuff. Which,
wow, 0 to 60, man. That's rough.
Well, once again, though, they started Cub Scouts, but then in Boy Scouts, they start to try to train them to do that. And so
oh, you mean like in a kitchen, like at home?
No, like over rocks in a fire, and a ring of rocks in a little fire. And I can't believe more kids don't die of food poisoning. I guess you're right. I guess it is 0 to 60. Yeah, because
do they have any culinary skills before they go out into the woods and then have to like make a meal?
Somewhere there's a little bit of training. I think they show a little bit, but you're right. It's a little bit rough because they got to build a fire, and then they got to cook over it. And they're cooking bacon, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, we're all poor, because I think I even voiced that opinion, and I'm like, aren't these kids going to get sick if this pork's undercooked?
Bacon is not raw.
Well, that's what I found out.
Not a raw product. So
yeah. I was mistaken.
Did I spoil your punchline? I'm sorry.
No. That was what I found out though, by asking it though, but they're making some pancakes and some eggs, and it's just kind of nasty, but the boys are learning, and it is almost like a baptism by fire, so to speak, because they're not good at it, and sometimes there's even some tears, like so they're getting frustrated, and there'll be a leader who's like, "Come on, get going on this," So yeah,
I guess it's kind of assuming they've already had some like food.
Well, I think there is a practice one. I think there's like a practice one, and then they have to do it. They do it for another scout and another leader. And so it's cooking for a group of 3, but they have to build the fire. So it's once again, it gets back to that whole comfortable with being uncomfortable. So there's a little bit of stress, a little bit of practice dealing with stress, and you don't want to see kids get too stressed out. But I guess the grand scheme of things, it's they're learning something.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
I guess they all come out of it at least understanding the concept.
Yeah, I was saying, but they're looking for some good food. You've had nice bacon and eggs. Not always.
Did they try and do over easy or scrambled?
I think it was all scrambleds.
Oh, good. Yeah. It's safer that way.
Okay.
For sure. I don't know if you remember, I wasn't much of a camping kind of outdoorsy person when I lived in California, but that has changed. Brett really likes camping, so when we first got married, we would go camping on occasion, but the thing that really stressed me out was the food.
Okay.
Like, if I have a bad meal, Lee, it ruins my fucking day. That was the big stressor. So once we figured out the food situation, that just changed everything for me. So I think food and camping is super important.
Yeah.
You're just gonna like take beer and go to restaurants. That's a possibility too.
Speaking of back when I knew you back in the 80s in California, wasn't that an amazing time for us to happen to have lived in Southern California? It was because it was the 80s, and of course there was KROQ, the awesome radio station out there. But out of all the times that one could live in Southern California, maybe with the exception of like the late 60s and early 70s when it was the Beach Boys there and all that stuff, I think the 80s was an amazing time that we just happened to be in Southern California. Mm-hmm. I mean, just because of new wave music and punk rock and all that, it was all right there. And, and Miami Vice was on TV and everything was pink flamingo colors and that aquamarine color. And in Southern California, everything was bright and colorful like that, which is one of the things which made me say when I left Pennsylvania and joined the Air Force, I'm like, I'm going to get to California. And sure enough, that's where I ended up and did the end of my tour of duty. Was like, yeah, I got to California. I'm here and it's awesome. It's cool.
Yeah.
It was I'm really glad that we happened to live there during that time, during the 80s.
It was a really good time. And I think things were still affordable. I mean, I wonder if someone in your position now would even be able to work at Wendy's and, be able to
Yeah.
afford an apartment and a car.
I wonder too. Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of rough. I mean, I don't know how much you rake it. I'm not going to ask, but I started at $3.25 an hour.
Yeah. I don't even remember what I was making back then. Yeah. Those.
And
So
I remember, and there's a lot of talk about like the minimum wage now, and I always
sure.
thought that the minimum wage was like a starting wage for kids. I just
Sure.
thought
Yeah.
that's what it was. And then, adults, of course, adults didn't get minimum wage. That's
Right.
ridiculous. I had no idea how the world worked, and it seems so cruel now.
Yeah. No,
On a
absolutely.
minimum wage, people can't afford to feed themselves and have an apartment and have a vehicle, transportation. So
Right.
it's a weird world.
And
now.
God forbid if you had children and you're trying to provide for your children as well as yourself on
Yep.
minimum wage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our country doesn't quite has figured out a working wage, a living wage. Yeah. We don't really have that going for us here like a lot of other countries do. Bummer. Wow. We're really now we're really getting bumming ourselves out with the serious talk on this podcast. Now it took a turn of the serious.
Oh, it did. I mean, it's a roller coaster we're on here, Lee.
Yeah, okay.
So the 80s were really influential in both of our lives, and Southern California was as well. And Wendy's has been influential in my life in ways that I'm not really aware of, I'm sure. But is there anything that you can recall or think of that might be something that how that's influenced you?
You mean about the 80s in Southern California or
Wendy's?
About Wendy's. Yeah, well, it was a great place to work, for a little bit there, and it was, like I said, the whole management thing and managing people. And then, honestly, I continued.
You were really good at making a team.
Oh well, that's good. Yeah,
yeah.
I continued then being a manager pretty much my whole life. It seems like I was managing somebody. so it was good. The whole Wendy's management training seminar there, whatever they had, was good.
I remember, was it It was Easter. Do you remember when we worked that Easter shift?
I'm afraid I don't.
We played broom ball on the roof.
Wow, did I work there then?
Oh. But yeah, Yumiko, we lost her. We couldn't find her. And she was in the ice bin.
Oh my God.
She was hiding from somebody. I don't know. It was really hilarious.
Now that's sounding vaguely familiar to me. Yeah.
Do you ever hear from Yumiko? Do you know where she may have ended up?
No, we never stayed in touch. That's where younger generations will have it so much easier in that they'll have Facebook. They can stay in touch with anybody now.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Whereas we didn't have that, so you lost touch with people.
Yep. And I'm still in touch with Matt Ramsey.
Oh yeah, right.
He's doing well. Rex is up in Northwest somewhere. I heard rumor he was moving back to Arizona. Matt's still in touch with him.
Right. And how about and so Liam, now he's in Spain or something. Is that right?
Liam is, he's the only person I know who actually said, fuck the US, I'm out of here. And changed his citizenship.
Oh, I didn't realize he went that far. Did that too, huh? Wow.
I believe so.
Well,
that man, when he makes a commitment, he sticks to it. Damn.
Good for him. Yeah.
He doesn't mess around.
Well, what I see on social media, it looks great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then again, Spain and Italy, they always look great, they do. Yeah. In fact, I have a work colleague who recently traveled to Spain, and he said it looks as beautiful as what you see. It looks that way, but as soon as you go like 10 feet beyond what that pretty stuff you just took a picture of, it's just crap. It's depressing poverty and things like that. As it's like, so they said, it looks pretty in the picture, but then just look a little bit around and it's like, not so much. But anyway, so not to make our podcast take a downturn there and be a bummer. Sorry about that.
So the moral of the story is that everything can look pretty, but just 5 feet beyond that, 10 feet beyond that, it's going to be crap. That's just what we have to deal with in this planet.
Exactly. There you go. Yep. The moral of the story. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, is that a good place to end the podcast, or that's maybe not? No, I don't know. I was looking to see if there's some closing. If you have any closing,
yep.
No.
I did want to tell you. I don't remember if you knew this or not, but me and Matt and Rex one night decided we were talking about the mayonnaise, ketchup, pickle, onion, tomato, lettuce, mustard.
Yeah.
And we were like, you know what? You can memorize any string of words that you might want. and be able to rattle it off like that.
Uh-huh.
It's like, yeah. And then we're like, we should make up a string of words. We're like, curse words. Yeah, we should do curse words. And then I was like, in alphabetical order.
Oh,
And
uh-huh.
so we we spent all night accepting and denying curse words from our list of words that we would have in this list that we memorize. And of
Wow.
course, I still remember it today.
Really? Oh
Yeah.
man. Do you want to say it, or do you want to? We have to cut it out of the podcast, of course, but yeah, or maybe
It'll
not.
be beep, 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 beep.
Yeah.
Or, I'm not on any public radio or anything, so I guess I'll
Oh,
curse as
that's
much as I
true.
want, right?
Oh,
Fuck it.
I don't know. I don't have a podcast. I don't know. How would I know? I don't know the rules.
I barely have a podcast, but here we go. So the words are ass, bitch, damn, dick, fuck, hell, piss, shit.
Nice.
That is a list that we curated very, very intentionally.
Well done.
So
Yeah.
things are left out on purpose.
Yeah, you had to vote on them. Like I said, you had to vote on whether it made the cut
we
or
had to
not.
all
Huh?
agree, all three of us, yes.
Yeah.
And I wonder if Rex and Matt can still do that. I'll have to test them when I get them on my podcast.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you can't memorize anything. My daughter memorized something. It's not as creative as the curse words that you had, but you know the value of pi 3.14, that whole that pi.
Yeah.
She memorized out 100 decimal places. So yeah, and so just the value of pi out to 100 decimal places. And so that's a lot to remember. I think she and one other kid at school both did it. I think they were all working on that. And I'm not sure why, but to your point, I mean, talk about random. I mean, that's just numbers repeated over and over and over and over. And to memorize that as 100 was amazing. Yeah, that's like that's a lot of remembering,
Yeah.
But
and did you go like, oh yeah, mayonnaise, ketchup, pickle, onion, tomato, with mustard?
well, believe me, they know the mayonnaise, ketchup, pickle, onion, tomato, and all that is mustard. They know it. Yeah, they know that. Yeah, and they know why, and they know the story.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I texted part of that to Matt once, and he filled it in.
Uh-huh.
Something you just don't forget.
That's right, for sure. Yeah.
Just like you, Lee Woulfe. I can't ever forget you. I'm so
likewise
glad that we talked. This
likewise
is so much fun.
I know. I'm so glad you contacted me. I'm sorry. I was reticent, I guess would be the word. At first, I didn't. What do I have to talk about? But
You were
either way,
drama queen.
Well,
I see you out there being like,
yeah, I just didn't feel like I had that much to say, but it's been very fun catching up with you. That's for sure.
You do have a lot to say, and I really appreciate you. And this was fun. And if you next time you're in Pittsburgh, have you ever been to Pittsburgh? I think I saw you here.
I think I went once. Yeah, for something, but that was the one time.
Something at the TV station.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah, I was. That was why I was there.
QED.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's it. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway,
no. Other than that, no. I guess there's no reason for me to go there. Other than it's great, and it would be nice to see you and Brett.
Yeah. And if we're ever out heading that way, or we could even intentionally make a point to meet up and hang out.
Exactly.
Camp somewhere between our two cities.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if we're camping anymore. Yeah. Well,
wait, what?
I said I don't know if we're camping anymore now. Well, the odd thing is, so at the last camp out, my son was at with the Boy
Scout. Lee Woulfe.
I know. Well, he lost one of the cross pieces to the nice tent we have, so we don't have a nice tent. We have a little 2-man tent now, but we don't have a. And I say 2-man. That's just the trade. That's what they say. It's a 2-person tent would be more appropriate. But we had a nicer, bigger tent, and now that's sort of unusable because the part that held the fly doesn't. Anyway, that's more information than you needed.
So you don't have a tent.
No, I don't have that. We don't have a good tent. We have a tiny tent.
But you have an uni stove that is portable, right?
Yes.
So maybe if I have an extra tent and you bring your uni stove, we could sort of collaborate on a camping trip.
Right, there you go. Yeah, the uni stove. Yeah, I guess that could camp. Yeah, I never thought of taking a camp, but it certainly could.
Anyway, well, now we have all of the contact info. So
exactly.
Thank you so much, Lee.
It has been an absolute pleasure. I'm so glad you invited me. Thank you very much for having me on your show.
I'm so glad you came around to being reasonable.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right, Lee.
All right.
I love you. I'll see you
later.
later.
All right. Love you too. All right. See you later. All right. Bye-bye.
Everyone knows that food is cool. No secret. Eat that food with a bowl and spoon. Everyone knows that food is cool. No secret. Eat that food with a bowl and spoon.
With Bowl and Spoon is written, produced, and hosted by me, Shelley Danko Day. Copy editing by Carolyn Ristow. Details reviewed. Original theme song was written and performed by Paul Labrise and Friends. You can listen to With Bowl and Spoon anywhere you get your podcasts. Follow us and send us questions or messages on Facebook and Instagram or on our website, withbowlandspoon.com. Thanks for listening.